The Department of Defense has identified several likely social impacts of the military buildup. According to the draft EIS socioeconomic study, Marines will not have an impact on Guam's overall crime and social order. Instead, the report states that other factors related to the buildup may cause this. In fact, the report blames in-migrants from the freely associated states of Micronesia as the likely cause. Their numbers are expected to increase due to more job opportunities, and according to the DEIS, these migrants from within Micronesia, quote, have high crime rates associated with adapting to less traditional social structures, end quote. University of Guam instructor Victoria Leon Guerrero says this is a surprising take on the Marines' impact to crime, considering the fact that many Okinawan protests against the Marines were fueled by instances of rape and violence.
To not take responsibility for the history of crime and violence in Okinawa is shocking, because the environmental impact statement should be an honest assessment of how this will impact the environment. Also, to state that it'll be other communities that are going to cause crime is almost insulting to our region.
It's almost like they're making a very racist claim that...
University of Guam instructor Michael Lujan Bivacqua says that the assumption that Micronesians will raise the crime rate rather than the Marines borders on racism.
In some places that would be considered racist, and it's just kind of, yeah, it really is just very unsettling that the military thinks they could just with a straight face say there will be crime, but it'll be Micronesians causing it, and it's almost like they're scapegoating. You know, that's what racism is, you scapegoat certain populations.
While the report lays most of the blame of crime on Micronesian migrants, in the very next paragraph it admits that there is a potential for more prostitution, alcohol or substance abuse, and family violence associated with young military populations, including sailors taking shore leave after weeks at sea. As for the potential of violence and fights, the Department of Defense attributes most of the blame to the local population. The DEIS states, quote, the particular reputation of Marines as fighters could well trigger a transitional period of adjustment in which local young men test themselves against Marines in fights. Bivacqua says this too is borderline racism.
It's just a way of kind of taking themselves out of the equation, that they don't have any responsibility for any violence. It'll be the aggressive young local men that do it. And so it's, again, similar to the statement about the Micronesians, it's a way of kind of being racist with a straight face.
While the DEIS doesn't appear to own up to increased crime and violence, it does admit that the expansion of non-Chamorro voting populations could affect the proportion of Chamorro office holders and government workers. This could also affect the outcomes of any future votes about Guam's political status.
The vote for self-determination, which basically decides Guam's political future, should be reserved for the native population of the island and for people who genuinely know the island's history and culture. To have a new community that is not rooted in Guam and not rooted in the island's history decide our future is unjust. It's a complete violation of this human right that's reserved for the native Chamorro people.
Leon Guerrero encourages everyone to read as much of the draft EIS as possible and then provide comments during the EIS comment period. Clint Rogel, PNC News.